Coach to Analytics tonight, 8 p.m., always on Tuesdays. Thankful to everybody who showed up. For those of you who couldn't be here in person, like I said, we're going to tape it. We record it and send it to your email. Part of what we try to do here in the colony is we try to provide you with as much training on modern techniques, what's working today, marketing, social media, so you're up to date and able to sell homes in today's ever-changing market. And if you don't have time to be here in person, we like to have it right in your inbox so you can listen to this beautiful voice while you're riding around in the car. But today's topic, I wanted to piggyback and kind of tag team with my main man, Michelangelo Amantia, who did working or finding buyers this morning, which I thought was some very good training. So I wanted to kind of dig through and talk about some ways that maybe you're not thinking about, some kind of outside the box ideas about how do we find sellers in a market where everyone's got their real estate license. How do we find sellers where there's so much competition, right? Well, one of the things that I think that we do uniquely, there's Amanda, our rock star out in Colorado. Love Amanda. Thanks for being here.
Welcome.
And Jackie. Welcome, Jackie. So one of the things I want to talk about real quick is one thing we don't know sometimes is you can create sellers. Okay. And that's very true. So it is great to find sellers, but it's also a very good opportunity to create sellers sometimes. And when I say create sellers, I mean helping people understand and realize that what a great opportunity that it is to sell, right? So sometimes people may be talking to you about, a new business that could motivate someone to sell. Where are you going to get the money for that new business? Well, if they don't realize they have $200,000 in equity, a free CRM showing them what their home is worth can sometimes be life-changing. I can't tell you the number of people in the last 4 or 5 years who have used the mass amount of equity in their home to jumpstart whatever business or dream they wanted. I'm a prime example. I stepped out of a career in education, started this thing with Michelangelo, EXP the Colony. 3 years later, I'm pretty close to financial freedom. Starting your own business is a wonderful thing. So that's not a bad thing. Getting out of debt. Getting out of debt. You hear people say, constantly, I'm in debt. Well, hey, let me tell you how much you have in your house. Maybe it's the right time to sell. Maybe it's the right time for you to use that money to pay off debt, rebuild your income, rebuild your credit, and we'll go back and buy later, when some of these rates go down or different things. Some other times it's a good time to talk to people about selling and maybe create sellers, friends and family members as they expand their family, right? If you're over at somebody's house constantly, friends, family members, they're expecting, maybe they're having twins, maybe that house, they're just outgrowing the house. Maybe a subtle suggestion of, hey, let me show you what's on the market. Did you know that you're 100 grand up in this house? And instead of adding on an addition, which a lot of people do that you very seldom get value back out of, sometimes buying that house with that extra bedroom and upscaling your life is the right move. A lot of times I'll show pictures of updated modern homes online and show people what's out there. A lot of times once they see it, they can't unsee it. And I don't want to be cruel and make people move, but once you see what's out there and what you can truly afford, especially when the interest rates were lower, it sparked a lot of people. I created some sellers just by posting what their options were online. A lot of times you can do this, and this is knowledge, but a lot of people don't know what their home is worth. And a lot of times I create these buyers or create these sellers by just providing them with a free CRM, just providing them with a free, just a free report on what their house is worth on the market and what I think I can realistically get. And that's how sometimes I've been very, very successful in creating sellers out of people who may not have been hot to trot out of the very beginning. Again, it's not our job to tell people to sell their home, but it is our job to lay out options and help them make an informed decision. They need to know if they're $200,000 up. I mean, how many times in your life have you had $200,000 to work with? Never for me until I had this EXP thing going on. All right. So those are some things to think about is, it's not always finding sellers. It's sometimes you can create sellers with just mass information and an opportunity, right? Next thing I want to talk about is sometimes you can create the desire to sell by pointing out the obvious, by ads and social media and postcards and flyers and things that we train you to do each day and provide for you if you take advantage of that marketing training. When people are downsizing is a great time to, absolutely hit them. I mean, like, for example, so I posted out, I found out that some of these 55 plus communities, were offering 5 years tax abatement at a 2.9% interest about 6 months ago. I plastered out everybody in my CRM, everybody I knew that was coming up on 55, anybody between the ages of 50 or 60. I said, listen, I know interest rates are 7 and everybody's afraid to buy right now, but what if I told you get 5 years tax-free? And what if I told you that you could get a 3.9% interest rate or 2.9, whatever it was that these communities were offering? I mean, people were hitting me up like crazy to move into these 55 plus communities. So I created a desire there in that 55 plus community just by offering the value. When people are ready to downsize, that's a great time to hit them and create the desire to sell. Same thing we talked about by overgrowing. Some other things is, buy water, posting homes, if you're at that stage of life where you're ready to have your dream home, creating that desire to sell the home they have to create that capital to go live by the water and do those things. Another thing for creating sellers that I've had a lot of success with is dealing with a lot of investors. There's one thing that I know to be true about investors is that eventually they get tired of investing. It is difficult, very, very difficult to be a landlord anywhere in the country right now. In my career, I've probably handled massive bulk sales for landlords or for investors maybe 6 or 7 times where they were like, I want to sell all 20 of my properties. Now I give them a little break on commission on each one because it's a mass deal, but hitting up with your landlords and saying, listen, is it time to take the profit and just move on, right? Let's get rid of all these properties. Are you tired of managing them? Are you tired of doing it? Are you tired of putting up with the hassle, running credit checks, not getting paid? Having to fight to get your rent. And a lot of times working with these investors is a great time to convince them, listen, time's to sell is now. This market's not going to go any higher. Now would be a great time to talk to landlords about capitalizing on their investment. Let's take your 20 rentals and let's cash in while this market is crazy. I think this market's going to keep going up for at least another year, but eventually it has to burst. Let's be real honest about that. Like, people can't keep paying 7-8% interest and homes can't keep going up 5-10% a year. It's just not feasible, right? And we're seeing that in these last couple of months as a lot of deals are dying at the table. People are realizing what their payment really is, and that can be a problem. But I think you'll find that working with investors and just suggesting that maybe it's the right time to sell all your properties and move on, take the profit and run. I think it's good business. I really believe in taking the profit and going in real estate. Now, I love me some passive income. I truly do. But at this point, if I had 10, 15 rentals, I sold 2 of mine last year because the profit was just there. It's too good to be true. One that we talk quite a bit about, is our for sale by owner sites, for sale by military. That's a normal thing for me. It is for Amanda as well. Those are people that are naturally going to trust us when we call them. But our natural for sale by owner sites are people that have already decided to list their house. Right. And then you go in with a good plan and good message. And I know I always provide a great for sale by owner training, but for those of you who have never been in it, I think it's always about creating doubt that they can sell the home without you. Only 3% of homes listed for sale by owner statistically sell. Right. And the reason for that is even in this market, when you can put a sign up and sell, you don't know what the home's worth, who's going to handle appraisal, who's going to handle repairs. Right. You create doubt that the deal can close without you. Then you swoop in and then you offer value. I can handle repairs. I have a contractor. I have a marketing team. I can get in front of everyone. I can drive the price up. Homes that are listed by a realtor sell for 30% more than for sale by owner. These are all true statistics that you can find online. And then what I do is I offer them a free appraisal, from our former appraisal that's on our team. I offer them a free appraisal. Say, it's about a $500 value. I'll tell you exactly what your home is worth if you meet with me. If you like the number, let's talk about listing. And if you don't, you could tell me to kick rocks. And once they agree to meet with me, I almost always get that for sale by owner because they think they're getting the $500 value. They're excited. They agree to meet with me. And then I say, listen, you've got this for 180. If I can get you 195, that pays my commission and you get all my resources, all my marketing, my contractors, my ability to negotiate, my ability to handle the banks, the appraisal, doesn't it make sense to turn this over to a professional? I've had great success in my career with for sale by owners. People don't like them. 1, because they get beat up and called all the time. And 2, because they get hung up and cursed at. I don't love that either because I'm an energy guy, right? And it can drain my energy. I'm not going to lie to you, but I will say this. If there was one thing I had to do, one activity I had to do for the rest of my career to survive, I would call FSBOs. And I will welcome any of you to come sit down with me any day here in my office and bring me up any state. And I will say this, if we call FSBOs for 8 hours, I'll get 10 to 20 listings, right? It's all repetitive. It's all practice, right? They've already decided they sell. You just have to convince them that they need a realtor, right? And that you're the right realtor, of course, right? So for sale by owners is a great way to find some of these sellers in a market where, you want sellers right now. That's the truth. Running buyers is vicious right now. Sellers is where it's at. Okay. The other kind of seller that you think that you want to find is, you want to find people sometimes that have to sell. It's easier to get listings sometime when they're in a situation where they have to sell the property. Right now, I would never ever tell you to, try to take advantage of somebody in their weakest moment. Someone passes away or those things. But I will say this, presenting yourself once in a while online, reminding people that you're there for people going through divorces, can be a powerful way to get listings. When people go through divorce, they have to sell their house most of the time in litigation. And if you get that sale, you also get the rebuy or the re-rent of the husband and the wife, or the wife and wife, or husband and husband, if that is the case, right? One thing that we do is I try to build relationships with divorce attorneys. I'm going to do a great job for the client. I'm going to be respectful. I'm not going to be emotional. I'm not going to get involved. I don't want to hear why you got divorced. I don't care. It's my job to sell this home and then find you your new home. And the divorce lawyers know that they can count on me to do a wonderful job. And in return, I probably refer them business whenever they can if they're using me, right? It's people helping people. It's powerful in any industry, right? Relationships mean business. So divorce situations can always be good. And there have been times where I've put videos out that say, listen, I've been divorced. I know how hard it is. I'm here to help you through this difficult time. And I am. I have great empathy for people on both sides. So divorce listings can be an absolute wonderful way to profit and make money and keep yourself going and keep yourself afloat. And they're your client for life. I mean, you ever have a friend that was there for you when things were really tough, right? Those friends seem to stick. So absolutely, right? Divorce listings can be very, very good. Estate sales, getting to know estate lawyers. Maria Lauren knows one very good who sends her some estate work up there in Ocean County. I am never going to be the guy that's going to, go after the obituaries. I'm not going to do that. I was in a training once and I walked out when they suggested that you send, a condolence note to the obituary section. I'm like, there's no way. You might as well tell me show up at the funeral and try to get a listing. I'm never going to do that. But if you have relationships with estate attorneys, you are there for someone in what is a very difficult time for the life. And to me, that's a wonderful calling from God, is to be the person that helps them through their most difficult time. Estate sales can be very good. Tax liens, a lot of time, or people see as opportunistic. I disagree completely. If you're getting ready to lose your home anyway, going and finding properties that are getting ready to go underwater and saying to someone, listen, I can help you here, but we've got to move fast. I can get this home sold for you in the next 60 days. You're about 90 days from losing it. Let me help you. If you have investors that will pay cash for a property and give them an extra $5,000 to go get an apartment. If they're truly at the point where they owe $30,000 in back taxes and they're never going to be able to recover, and the home is dilapidated, $5,000 to go get an apartment is better than losing everything completely. And that took me for a while to get comfortable with, but I had some great investors who were like, we're trying to help people in terrible situations, and in return, we're going to try to help our families as well. So tax liens can be a great way to find listings, and those are easier to get than you could ever imagine. There's posted in every township throughout the country. If you just drove those tax liens and offered your services to those people, they are at their wits' end. They're looking for someone to help them. A lot of times they feel lost, and you can be a great source of help and inspiration and guidance for people. Especially, there's been times I remember there was one family, me and Michelangelo worked in East Hampton. We met this people and we fell in love with them right away. We found out they were embarrassed to tell us. We found out they were 2 years behind in their mortgage, right? But we were able to sell their listing for so much that they paid off all their back debt and walked away with $20,000. The tears were streaming at the closing. They had no idea that was possible. So that made me feel really good. So tax liens are a great way, a great opportunity, to get there and find sellers in this market. This is on top of doing your business plans that we teach you to do every single day. We do our daily habits. You always want to be doing those things consistently. This is extra on top of it. Some other ideas, employees, employers, massive employers. If you know that, companies in your area have great turnover and people are going to be transferring, for me, it's the military. I get a lot. I'm on the military site. I'm on the welcome center. I got my card. I got a big flyer up because I know military people are going to come in and out every couple of years. So I do pounce on that business. But if you can get in good with an employer where Amazon, anybody's a major employer, and you can become their go-to person, how do I become your go-to realtor, the person that you call when you have turnover and you need people to find homes? The school where I coach basketball and baseball at, anytime a teacher comes in or moves into the area, they're like, here's the card. In return, I sponsor the golf outing. I sponsor whatever they ask me to do. $500 for this, $100 for that. But in return, I get tons and tons of business off of them. If you can hook up with those major companies and become their person, their go-to person, and build those relationships, that can be invaluable. I have an opportunity right now with a professional hockey team, right? They get in and out trading players all the time. I'm meeting with them next week. I'm talking about maybe getting my brand, getting my EXP sign in the ice, and becoming their official realtor. So I'm excited about that. And let's hope that goes well, because that would be a lot of listings as we come and go. I'm up against five or six other realtors, but I'm confident that I can show them, great value in that. So it would be very cool to be the official realtor of the Delaware Lightning. That would be really, really cool. It's a minor league hockey team, but still be very cool. So yeah, if you get in good with these employers, it's always a good way to get these listings. As people get fired or people come in, it's always a good time. Schools, communities, Amazon, anything that you can do where there's a turnover. Dover Downs in Delaware, has a ton of employees, casinos, the parks, anywhere that you can get in where there's great turnovers, where they say, listen, you're looking to buy, think of Dan Williamson. He's our guy. I like to call those things brand advocates, people that aren't going to think twice about referring you, right? That's how you can really, truly get a lot of listings, is finding out who your brand advocates are. I talk a lot about the power washing guy here in South Jersey that always gets me 6 or 7 listings a year. He's a brand advocate for me. If they call him and they say, we're going to power wash the house, we're going to sell, he goes, I got a Bulldog realtor. His name is Dan Williamson. He's the best there is, right? Finding those brand advocates are a great way to find these sellers in a market where we're dying to get sellers, right? But I love employers. I love relationships. And I think that's a really valuable way to absolutely pick up some sellers in this market. Another way we talk about is, people say, well, how do you get so many listings? Well, a lot of it truthfully comes down to value. Okay. So the value that I add when you come to me for listings, the value that I add is hard to beat. So I put this out there publicly all the time. And I'm going to provide a professional cleaning service. That's a $500 value to me, right? $500 value. I'm going to have that place looking like the Taj Mahal, right? I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to take professional photos. I'm going to market in every magazine and every booklet and in the guide, whatever it is, you're going to see your home in it. I'm going to leave no stone unturned, right? I'm very, very close to having my own moving truck. I'm very excited about that. I'm going to plaster my name. If you list with me, you get this moving truck if you're moving within 90 minutes. So I'm very excited about that. I've got that in the works. I'm negotiating with U-Haul now to get one of their trucks, and I'm going to have it painted up in EXP. And as my career is now mostly listings, right? That's where I want to be. I enjoy coaching. I want to see other people succeed. I just want to handle listings and maybe my higher end clients. But the value I add to people, it's hard for them to say no. And one thing about when you add value is a great way to get sellers is it's also a great way to get 6%. When I sit down with them, I say, listen, I'm out $500 for the professional cleaner. I'm out, for the pictures, probably $1,000 by the time we do the drone and the videos and all these things. By the time I market it, I'm down 2 G's just to get your property marketed. So I think that's a great way to get listings, is because you're showing how much value. I was like, but your home's going to look great. It's going to smell great. The pictures are going to be amazing. And you're going to get a lot more money for your house than if you listed with another realtor. And you don't have to pay me now. I get it at the table when I get you more. So if I get you 6,000 more because of all this value, what do you care if you have to kick me an extra 2? You win, I win, right? So when you add that great value with listings, a lot of times it's harder for them to not go with you, and then it's harder for them not to give you the full percentage. And I've had great success getting listings because of the value that we add. right? Everything is a value add. Everything is a value proposition when we're talking about listings. Another thing that really helps, I think, as you're growing in your career, depending on where you're at in your career, it may make some sense to focus on condos, right? Do you know that the most homes sold in the country are condos and townhomes? Why? Because those are starter homes. They're very small starter homes. Sometimes they're downsized, but for the most part, those are young couples that are only going to stay in that between 2.5 years, statistically, proven fact, right? So focusing on condos and townhomes and marketing those areas and blanketed those areas is a very, very positive way to ensure that you're always going to get lots of listings, right? So being known in that townhome community, being known in that condo community, having a reputation as someone who is an expert in condominiums can really, really help you. I think that's brilliant, because then they're going to rebuy. Someone's going to buy the condo in 2.5, 3 years. They're going to have some kids, or they're going to get transferred because they're just starting out in life, or they're going to get bored and want something bigger, want a dog, right? And then you're going to be selling that same condo again. So a lot of the best listing agents I know, Mandy and Friender Ball, who are on our team, sell 100 homes a year. Love them. They just got under contract for their dream home, so it was a wonderful moment tonight when they gave me that call. But they sell 100 a year. A lot of them are in Rosewood condominiums. If you look in Rosewood condominiums, you will see that they have sold some of those units 6, 7, 8, 9 times over and over again. They blanket Rosewood and they won't let another realtor get in there. They sponsor their HOA. They throw a barbecue. They are all over those condos and townhomes. Again, only because they know they're going to relist. Every couple of years, people are moving out of those condos and townhomes, right? So when you're marketing for listings, those are really good places to run. And some people say, well, listen, Dan, they're not that much money. I get that, but half a loaf is better than no loaf. I would rather sell a $150,000 condo than not sell anything, right? So focus on those condos and townhomes. It's a great place to market your business. And the other thing you do is you pick up buyers. Not that I want to interfere with the great Michelangelo Amantia, because he covered, buyers this morning. I'm happy to send that out training to any of you. But if you're marketing in these condos and townhomes and people are constantly moving, you're going to get a lot of young people. And you could also double up and send some first-time buyer information to them as well about how ridiculous it is to rent if there's someone renting in those condominium communities, which a lot of people are renting, half or buying, usually here in New Jersey. I don't know how it is in your states. Another thing, heirs, estates, those kind of things, sometimes people inherit property and they don't want to pay the inheritance tax. They don't want anything to do with the property. Making yourself available to those people, letting it be known in your sphere of influence that if you inherited a property that you have no use for, that you would be more than willing to take a reduction in commission and come by and tell them exactly what it's worth, right? So I've been able in my life to sell properties a couple of times where they had no desire to live in grandma's house when she passed or what have you. So a heirs estate, any kind of that. I know we talked a little bit about estate lawyers, but there are specific situations where people inherit a home, they have no desire, and they don't want to have to pay the inheritance tax, right? So the best thing they can do is list it right away. You want to be that person that's there to jump on them. Another one that's unpopular but can be very lucrative is REOs. Bank-owned properties, foreclosed properties. Kind of the same thing with tax liens. They have to go. And some people say, well, you have to be an REO. That's not true. Right? It helps to have some REO experience. It helps to have some of that REO training. But any realtor can list a bank-owned property. One of the things that I did was really great is I put on a very nice suit and tie, and I went to every bank in my town. I was young. I was hungry. I wanted to succeed. I had a realtor in my other brokers that I absolutely couldn't stand. She was the number one seller, and I just wanted to beat her, even though I was part-time. I went to every bank in a suit and tie and said, what do I have to do to be your REO guy? What do I have to do to take the properties that you have, that you're foreclosing on, and I'll get them sold. I'll take less commission. I'll do them at 5% commission. I'll do them at 4% commission, but I want them all. That worked. Santander Bank in downtown Burlington City gave me every single foreclosed listing they had because I was a bulldog. I showed up and I asked for the business. Closed mouths don't get fed. Now, full disclosure, horrible. Okay. Really hard. REO properties, bank-owned properties, really difficult. There's no one to do the repairs. You don't know if the bank's going to approve it. I mean, there's a reason I'm bald. I can't think of one smooth transaction that I had with those bank-owned properties, but I'll say this. I made a lot of money. I probably sold 10, 15, properties that year from REOs from the different banks that I went to. And I went to my credit union where I'd been banking since I was a kid. I asked them for some foreclosed properties, and they gave me a couple, not all of it, but they gave me a couple. So that's a good way that you may not know about. If you have friends that are in banking, that are, in the foreclosures, in the home loans department, they're at your local bank, I'll guarantee you that they have access to properties. And on that same regard, did you know in most cities, there are properties owned by the city? Burlington City at one time had 42 properties, and they would basically give them to any realtor that asked for them and let them list them because the city wanted them sold because they were broken down, beat up. City wanted to put people in them. You go to your local township, especially if you're living in a place where there's some abandoned buildings and properties that it doesn't benefit the city for it to sit vacant, those properties just sit there until the city decides to do something with them. Why not show up, ask for the list, talk to the city manager, the city councilman, whoever's in charge of it? Here in Burlington City, it was one person in particular called the community housing person, and he gave me and one other realtor about 14 properties that were sitting vacant. They were difficult, but again, I was young, I was hungry. And that's where we're getting at now, right? This market's not easy anymore. Times are getting tough. If you want listings, you got to go out and make it happen a lot of times, right? Sometimes, a lot of times, I've had some success with beat up properties by using the service called Curbio. You go to someone and you say, hey, listen, I know the house is beat up a little bit. I've got this service that will come in, fix it all up, change the curb appeal. I think we could get a ton of money for it. You pay them back after you close, and we all make money. A lot of people, would sell, but they don't want to do all the repairs that are needed to get the house ready to sell. That's where Curbio is an awesome tool. It's a wonderful tool to help you get, a property ready to go and get a property ready to sell, right? So Curbio, wonderful thing that EXP offers in-house, where you go to someone and you say, listen, Curbio will pay for all the repairs, make the home look great, and then you go out and sell. Now, listen, it comes with a risk that if the repairs don't, really change the value of the house, then you look a little bit like a jerk. But most times, if you clean up the curbs, you put on a new roof, you clean up the shingles, you get some new windows, most of the time, that's going to really, really change the value of the property, right? Especially in properties where Curbio is going to really help you. In sections where a little bit of cleanup, a little bit of, slap some lipstick on the pig is going to really, change the whole complexion of the house, so to speak, right? So those are just some ways that, as I sat today, I want to talk about, we all have our traditional things we talk about in our business plans, our handing out cards, our hitting on social media, and those things are all important and they're all valuable. Building a brand, having a consistent message. Those are the things we teach, and the principles and the habits that we teach you daily to go over, those things all work. But what I wanted to do tonight is I wanted to specifically share with you some of these out-of-the-box techniques and things that I've used throughout the years that have helped me get a lot of listings, and things I think would help you now, because I think thinking out of the box right now is very, very important. All right. So thank you so much for listening to those thoughts and those ideas from the mind of Dan Williamson. And I'll now open up the floor to anybody that has any questions, any comments, anything that you're dealing with, any tough deals that you might need some advice on. What can I do for you to help you be more successful this week, today, tomorrow? Here for you. Fire away with any questions, thoughts, ideas, anything you liked or anything you want to add to getting great listings. Fire away. Your beautiful audience. I don't care what Michelangelo says. You're all wonderful.
I want to know more about that Curbio you were talking about.
Sure. So Curbio is a service that EXP offers where, let's say you have a house and it's kind of beat up and you can tell they don't have the energy to fix it up, or maybe it's an estate sale or whatever. And you say, hey, listen, man, if this had some windows and I could clean up these sidewalks and do some landscaping and maybe fix this porch, get this swing together. You call Curbio in, they give you an estimate, and they say, listen, we'll do all these things for $20,000. You look at that house and you say, if they did all those things, I could get $40,000. Then it makes a lot of sense. Then the buyer pays them on the time of the sale. The only way this doesn't work, Cam, is if you're wrong. And they end up owing Curbio $20,000 and getting, not getting that money back on the investment of the house. Most of the time, Curbio very much works. They do some phenomenal repairs. Now, you could do Curbio yourself if you have a great contractor. I'm lucky enough to have Brian Atkinson with Scarlet Construction that will basically do anything for me to help me sell a house and make it look great. But Curbio is an awesome tool for anyone around the country that's an EXP agent. It will help you sell a house, especially in bigger cities, in places where it might be hard to find contractors because they're so maxed out. Curbio is a wonderful tool to help you get more for a property. I mean, I've seen them do, one I saw them here. They did it windows, a roof, cleaned up the whole yard, cleaned up, the back porch, did their stuff hanging off the back porch, fixed the gutters. And we ended up selling that property for, the bill was like 35, 40. We ended up selling that property for about 55, 60 more than what I was going to list it at. So in the end, the seller netted about 20K. But Kirby is wonderful. I can send you more information. It's in your back office under preferred partners with EXP and your EXP enterprise. You can read some more about it on your own. But if you'd like to talk more about it, I would love to sit down with you sometime and discuss it. I was a little anti-Curbio at first because I didn't understand the true value of it. But then after I saw what Curbio actually did for people, I was like, listen, you're going to get more for this house if you use Curbio. And it makes your job easier listing it. But it's just another value add. What other realtor is going to sit down and say, listen, I can get $30,000 in repairs done in 48 hours, 72 hours, or however long it takes Curbio to get out here. So it's just another tool for you when you're sitting down your listing. It's just another value add. I know you like to charge 3.5% on your listings, Cam. So it's just another reason you could justify that 3.5%. Love that. Love that about you. Love that about you. What else we got? Wonderful question. What else we got? Questions, comments, concerns. What are we struggling with? Anything we need help with? Any ideas on listings that we didn't cover? Anything at all? I know it's 8:30, but I always try to wrap it up by 8:45. Anything at all? Questions, comments. Anybody's excited? Anybody have a win? Anybody's got a big win they want to share? Anything at all before we wrap up? Sean Krause has his hand up because he's a teacher and he likes to follow the rules. Love that about you.
Absolutely
for
true.
Those of you who don't know Sean, sorry, Sean. For those of you who don't know Sean, he leads our team down in Baltimore, Maryland, down in the DMV with Anthony Stamero and Tom and the rest of his crew down there. Sean is one of the more successful agents in EXP, does a wonderful job. And we're lucky to have him running our Maryland team out of the Baltimore, D.C. area and gets all the way down to lower Delaware or near Delaware sometimes. But go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I don't know. Thank you, Dan, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you. I guess the biggest win we have is that Dan got Icon since our last meeting. So phenomenal. Congratulations to Dan. I came in a little late. We may have already given him a standing ovation. But yeah,
Freaking finally, dude. I'm
so proud.
Thank you.
That's no small feat. And Dan and I talk a lot, and I got to hear a lot about the trials and tribulations, especially that getting to that finish line. So that's going to be a really fine chapter in the book one day. I'll tell you what. But what I wanted to say that Dan may have gone over is that you should never underestimate the power of investors. They can be very tedious. They can be very tiring. But if you get a good one, it's a good way to stay busy. I had 3 closings, one Thursday, Friday, and one yesterday. And they were all investors that I've developed relationships with over the last couple of years. And they always are looking to buy or sometimes looking to sell. So I want to say to our crew, find a local investor group, offer value. You'll learn so much more about the business through that other avenue if you haven't already explored it. It's also a great way to network, show your name. And a lot of these investors are just looking for a solid realtor they can trust, who's going to tell them the straight truth. It's not going to, put all roses and sunshine in their email box. It'll tell them this is a bad deal. You shouldn't buy it. And once you can earn that trust, it's guaranteed buys and sells throughout the year. So a lot of my work this year has been through those folks, and I really enjoy it. Plus, it also helps teach you if you want to be an investor yourself. Another aspect of the game, which EXP gives you that great 3 personal deals a year with no split to the company. So it's a great way to leverage that EXP advantage we have.
Yeah, absolutely. I know your area there. I know Sean lives in Towson, but does some work in Baltimore as well, some of the bougier areas of Maryland. But I know that's a hot area for investors, as is Philadelphia, and some of our towns around here are very hot with investors. Well, I like investors a lot of times because a lot of times they'll get their license to come to EXP. They see the EXP and the passive income as an opportunity to add agents, like, adding rentals. So I love investors all the way around. I got a little bit soured out because they drove me crazy in my first couple of years. I was putting in 190 offers a week, and I kind of got worn down with investors. So I personally don't run a ton of investors, but I've got one or two that I really do like and trust. I have Jackie first, and then Michelangelo. Jackie, go ahead. I saw your hand up. Angel, that is Jackie. Are you there?
I'm here. I
saw
wasn't
you had your
really
hand up.
raising my hand, but I am hopefully finally getting off the ground. So it's taken me a long time, but this has been a busy week for me, both with rentals and I have my first 2 buyer meetings this week. And so I fell into a rental thing that I really wasn't looking for. I wasn't thrilled about it because it didn't look like it's going to give me big profits, but it's definitely good experience. And they're women who have been, they're almost in a shelter kind of situation, but it's like some kind of program they're in where they've done all this financial counseling. They work, but they had to leave abusive situations, and now they're ready to rent. And so they've gotten them financially prepared already. They're assisting them with the deposits for security. And all I gotta do is make sure their credit's okay.
Fantastic. Don't forget, I got that little rental in Burlington City for $1,400 a month up on top of right where Union House is. So keep me in mind on that. Thursday I'll be there from 1 to 3. I'm just letting anybody come in that wants to see it. But good for you. Proud of you, Jackie. Let us know how we can assist you. I know you got the full-time job during the day, but let us know if you need us at night, anytime. We're always happy to help.
Thank you.
Michelangelo, got your hand up, far away. Amantia.
Yeah, just want to piggyback. I'm driving, so service isn't great, but I just want to piggyback off the congratulations on Icon. It's a 2-part thing, right? You're welcome. Everything that we talk about in these trainings, it comes from experience. It's not just it was never just a matter of not practicing what we preach. And I think it's clear now more than ever with Dan reaching one of the greatest accomplishments in metrics and milestones at EXP, but above and beyond EXP, right? The feat to hit Icon, the metrics that you have to hit to get there are not easy by any stretch of the imagination at any brokerage. So when we're up here, it's speaking based off of experience. And I think one thing that we need to always focus on, because I know this is being recorded and it's going to go out there just like this morning's recording. And guys, just a reminder that from now on, instead of searching, we will be emailing direct links to all of our recordings, all of the trainings, all of our guest interviews, when we do have special guests, everything will be emailed to you, but everything will now be centrally located on our YouTube channel. The Colony has a YouTube channel now, so you can go back at any point in time. You can share it with prospects. You can share it. You can listen to it yourself, and you can refer back to it. But one thing is, again, I know it was a little long-winded, but it's the fact that we have to understand what delayed gratification is. It's not coming to one of these trainings, getting fired up, trying some of these things once or twice, and then expecting results. It just never is going to work like that. You have to put in the time, literally day in and day out. You have to hold yourself accountable. If you do these things, and we have seen it with brand new agents, experienced agents, struggling agents, successful agents, right? Because we have the sales experience. Literally put this stuff together, put it to action, put it to work, and see results. But it just doesn't always happen overnight. It takes time. And that's one thing that we have to focus on. So if you're doing something, and I went over this morning, and you're not seeing the results that you want, you really have to sit back and ask yourself what you've been doing, or what you haven't, for that matter, right? So it's all about accountability. And we talk about that. We preach about it. We're high energy. We really want to pour into everybody here, because we don't run a rainmaking team. We don't get a piece of your commission when you sell real estate. We're in this for the better good of this organization. That's what makes it so different. That's what makes it special. But I digress off of that. The point is delayed gratification and put in the work, right? So if you're going to do something involving sellers and condos and niches, you can't just do it once. You have to continuously duplicate. You've got to do it over and over and over again. And with more experience comes more confidence, and with more confidence comes more business. Just wanted to add those 2 cents.
Wonderful. One thing I want to add before we go is don't forget the fact that you're global. And don't forget the fact that you can get deals done in every state. Just here on this phone, if you have friends in the military, in business, in companies in Colorado, you have Amanda that you can refer deals to. She'd be happy to give you a little referral fee. You have Sean down in Baltimore. You have Sarah right here in Philadelphia. You have Cam in Oklahoma. You have Jackie, Jim right here in South Jersey. You've got Harry also down in Philly, right? You've got people around the country in the colony as we continue to grow and be one of the most dominant teams EXP's ever seen. You have an agent in almost every state now. If you have friends, get a piece of everything. If anybody buys or sells a house and they don't call me first, I don't care what country they're in. I let them know about it, right? Get a piece of everything. One of the reasons to be with EXP is that you're not stuck in a little 20-mile radius in some little small town somewhere. Not there's anything wrong with a small town guy, Burrsville, Delaware. I can still hear the crickets, right? One general store, not even a stoplight. People say one light town. We didn't have a stoplight in Burrsville. I digress. My point is, don't forget that you have all these partners around the country. Please don't hesitate to, let people know that if they're buying or selling anywhere in the world, they should be contacting you. It's awesome to get pieces of deals closing in Maryland, Oklahoma, Texas, Virginia. It's awesome. It's awesome, especially because I don't have to do anything except refer it. So, all right, last call before we go. Love everybody. So happy, so proud of everybody and their success. I love our team. I love what we do. I love that we put people first. I think what we're doing is changing the industry, and I'm excited and proud to be a part of it. If you need me, call me, text me. If you want a one-on-one, face-to-face on Zoom, we can do that. If you'd like a lunch with me, a dinner, reach out. I'm here to help. I hit icon, and now I'm stepping back to focus on building the colony and helping other people have as much success as possible. I really want to partner with agents around the world now and help the agents we have sustain success. So that's my focus for the rest of my career. I always said once I hit icon, I was scaling way back, and I'm proud to do that. So love you guys. See you soon. Reach out when you need, reach up. All of us are here to help. Take care.